this video, I'm going to show you how a single project can be enhanced by adding drawings and additional focus areas. Now, what I'm going to show you is a thesis project for a graduate student who was focusing their research on the design of, as you can see here, biophilic design in restorative environments. And so they were creating a spa in an abandoned warehouse in New York. And so what you're seeing here is the presentation of the actual project. Now, this culminated after 2 years of work. So there's so much here as far as design development, that the scope itself of this project is very large and based heavily on evidence-based design. And so I'm going to just flip through the original deliverables of the project itself. And once we get past it, I'll show you the additional drawings that were added to it. So that was the original design solution. Okay, they came with it a very, very large programming document. Now I'm going to pause and we're going to look at the additional drawings that were added to this later. What you're seeing now is what you could think of as an additional focus area that was developed by this designer. Now, this designer already had this beautiful studio project developed, and then she wanted to participate in a design competition. And so the requirement was the creation of an outdoor space. And so she was kind of blurring the lines between an interior and exterior space in the design of this floating kiosk. Now, this project was not a part of the original scope of deliverables in the design. Instead, she developed this as kind of an additional focus area that also would allow her to participate in this competition. So you can see here, this is a wonderful opportunity because additional renderings were created with inclusion of information about the research itself, but it's also allowed her to bring in an additional drawing type, which is this hand-drawn sketch with notes. Now you can see here with this sketch, even though we may start with, tracing paper and a little bit more scribble loose style of sketching, that this is a refined sketch. It's not that very first version of the sketch. And so you can see it looks really good in a portfolio because she has created these sketches, but they are refined with texture. You can see there's some scumbling incorporated. There's parallel lines brought in here. There's a representation of wood tones here. So there's the use of line weight and texture in this sketch. It's nice and dark. She's done it in pen. You can see here that there's an attention to detail as far as line weight goes. There's some style brought in the way that arrows are represented. You can see that her handwriting is architectural handwriting, all capital letters written horizontally, and that there's a sense of alignment with the relationship between the text and the image itself. So she's been able to bring in this really unique drawing type, which allows for the additional focus area on this project. Here is another part of this project where the designer has been able to incorporate an additional focus area, or really not necessarily a focus area in the sense of looking at an additional space, but bringing in an additional focus area by zooming in on a specific furniture design. Now, this student was exploring fabrication as a part of her master's thesis work. Now, even if you don't have access to a furniture design capabilities like this, you can still create the drawings that relate to a custom furniture design and bring those in as a part of your portfolio here. And it just adds depth and focus to a project that already is very robust with information. And so you can see here, once again, there's information about the project itself, which we've seen before in the presentation of focus areas. You can see here there's some photographs, but these could just as easily be shown with sketches and drawings. But what you're seeing here is another really great drawing type to incorporate in a focus area, which is these process sketches. And these are, again, they're curated. They're not the messy, sloppy ones that you're creating when you're doing very fast, rapid brainstorming. Instead, what you're seeing here is these refined sketches. And you can see they're drawn on 1/4-inch graph paper, which gives the drawer and the viewer a sense of scale, because each box represents, you know, a real life dimension. But you're seeing here these beautiful conceptual line work, some thoughts about initial structure and how it might be built. You can see the sketches themselves, even though they're early process sketches, they are still incorporating the use of a vanishing point. With these two here and here, these are both drawn in perspective with the use of a vanishing point. Both are 2-point perspectives. You can see here, we're seeing this line that could represent something in plan view or represent an elevation, perhaps a silhouette and elevation. The more notes you incorporate in these types of drawings, the better. But even when they don't have a lot of information, this drawing type really starts to express the rudimentary thinking of a design at its very, very infancy. And many designers and potential employers love to see this, because it starts to illustrate the foundational understanding of a project. And so even though you're seeing a project that's very advanced and very broad in its scope, because it spanned 2 years of a master's thesis, you can still start to see how this single project can be enhanced by adding drawings and additional focus areas, both focus areas that show a more expanded understanding of the space, and then also focus areas that start to incorporate very unique drawing styles that wouldn't ordinarily be included in a fully refined design development presentation, but instead they go back to those preliminary sketches that are curated. But as a result of this, all of these things come together to create a project that really has an expansive and beautiful scope that showcases the designer's skills and showcases a very full view of the design process.